Hey everyone, welcome back to Small Engine Edge. Today we're going to talk a little bit about business credit. Why would you need business credit, you ask, when you're just starting off a small engine repair company? Well, you've got to build this, so it takes time to do that. And if you don't start at the very beginning, you're going to lack going forward. So you're not going to be able to build as fast, especially if you have growing pains. Many of you may not even have personal credit to be able to start with to build your business credit, which is something that's going to be required. If you formed an LLC and you have partners or anything like that, or your wife's got great credit, hey, wonderful, go apply for a business credit card. If you can get a business credit card, that's perfect. You'll start from there and kind of continue to build what you want to do as far as the credit goes. If you cannot get that, that's going to be a different story. Many times these places, especially if you're just a sole proprietorship or a single member LLC, meaning just one person owns it, they're going to want a personal guarantee from you. If they want a personal guarantee, that means that your personal credit needs to be good enough to guarantee that if that fails, that you're going to be the one that covers that debt. To build your personal credit, if you do not have any, there's a few different ways to do that. I'm just going to touch on each real quick. If you don't have hardly any credit, say you have a 600 credit score or below, sometimes that's going to be hard to do. If you cannot go and get a store credit card, or if you can't go and get a low volume $500 or $1,000 credit card somewhere, that's going to be an issue. So find yourself a co-signer if that's the case. See if you can get somebody to co-sign on either a loan for you or a business credit card. It'll actually be a personal credit card at that point because you don't want to tie the business to it yet. You're trying to build your personal credit. If you can't get anyone to do that, see if someone will allow you to be a signer on their credit card. Just because they put you on their credit card as a signer, that's going to increase your credit because you're tied to that credit card at that point. Even if you don't have access to it, that does improve your credit. That's a good thing if you've got, parents or different family that may be willing to do that. I never had any of that. Nobody was ever willing to, hey, if you can't manage your credit, how can you be on mine, right? And I'm sure a lot of us are in that same boat, or we're younger and we're just starting out, or different things like that. So if you can't get either one of those things, if you can't get a small credit card or a small loan, or you can't get someone to co-sign for a loan or be a signer on their credit card, the next step is to go to either a credit union or a bank, and a lot of times they'll have what's called a starter card or a secured credit card. And what that means is essentially you give them, say, $500, and they're going to give you a credit card to use with that limit. You're still going to pay that every month. You're still going to continue to use that card and pay it off every month like you didn't give them that $200 or $500 or $1,000 up front. It sounds expensive, yes, but credit is very important. It's going to save you so much money going forward that it's well worth that cost up front, and you get that money back at the end. So say you take that $500 credit card and you continue to use it. So you give them $500, they give you a credit card that says, hey, this credit card, it's got a $500 limit. Use it consistently, pay it off every month. Once they see those on-time payments, that gets reported to the credit bureaus. So then your credit starts to rise and rise. Once you get enough established credit on that credit card, you can go out and get your own credit card without it having to be secured and build it from there. Credit is very important for many reasons in business, and I'll touch on a lot of that here shortly once I get through the personal credit. But if you don't have personal credit, many times you can't get business credit. So it took me quite a few years to build mine up. Mine wasn't in perfect shape whatsoever. I'll talk to you about a few of those growing pains getting there and how to leverage that business credit once you have that to make you a lot more money. You can make 15 to 20% more a lot of times on parts and different things and leverage that credit to make more money without it ever costing you anything because you have that better business credit. Once you get that personal credit to where it needs to be, you can continue there with your business credit. So many times once you have a decent credit score, creditors for both credit cards, credit for your different vendors and stuff like that, they'll give you accounts. as long as they see a little bit of credit there. You're gonna want vendor referrals, or for you to show that you've got other vendor accounts in order to become a vendor for a certain person. If you don't have that, keep continuing to ask each year. If they won't sign you up this year, call back in 6 months, ask again. Call back a year, ask again. I had to do that 2 or 3 times with a couple of the vendors we have, and eventually they just give you an account. You know, they recognize your name, they recognize, you know, it's usually the same credit department people you're calling and talking to if you're talking to somebody, and those people will eventually be like, hey, I recognize them, you know, they've been in business long enough, they've been persistent, and they will give you an account. Once you get those accounts, you get specials, okay? You get preseason specials because these companies want you to order before the big rush. They want to know how much they're going to sell that year. So they give you big discounts, a lot of times 10, 15, 20% on different things if you order ahead. So we order right now for about 6 months from now. We try to keep about 6 months out with the stuff. And the great part about it is if we order stuff right now, since we have good credit, we don't pay for that stuff until May, June, and July. Well, guess what? It's only February. So we've got all that time, and then it gets 3 equal payments split out, months later. A lot of times, it depends on the company, but a lot of times those terms are 6, 8 months out before you even have to start paying on it. So not only do you get a huge discount up front, you also get to do that work and get paid for that work before you ever have to pay for those parts. Can it get dangerous if you're not good at managing your money? Absolutely. You've got to keep, as I touched on before, keep those business and personal finances separate and make sure that you're taking care of your responsibilities. Make sure that you have enough income and enough set aside from those repairs to cover the things that you're going to have to pay later. If you don't do that, of course, you're going to end up in a lot of trouble, like everybody with credit cards. That's why they don't recommend them to many people. Stay on top of your finances. There's so many smart tools nowadays. You can use reminders on your phone. You can use, from Google or anywhere else. You can use those smart apps that'll remind you that those things are coming due and at whatever you want. If you want a reminder 60 days before it's due, you can set that. That's very easy to do nowadays. But keep on top of that. Do not default on those payments, because if you start to do that, your credit's going to go down and people are not going to give you credit. A, you're not going to get those deals or specials. B, and C, your personal credit's going to take a hit if you're not paying your bills on time also, even though it's a business credit card or something else, because you're tied to it. You're the one that's personally guaranteeing it in most times. Business credit cards. I utilize business credit cards for almost everything we do. It's much easier because when we spend money on anything, first off, you're protected. If anything happens on a credit card, you have all kinds of rights. You can file and say, hey, this is wrong, what happened? And that credit card company is going to give you a credit for whatever was wrong with that transaction. I've never had to use that yet, but I feel secure and I feel good knowing that if I ever have a problem with anything I purchase or anything, isn't as it should be, that I have coverage there. If you use a debit card, that's not the case. If you use a debit card and something happens, the bank's going to tell you, hey, well, you swiped it. You're, out of luck with that one. Too bad, so sad. Move on, right? But with a credit card, you have rights. That's a big one with credit cards. Also, when you're spending on these credit cards, if it's a business credit card, you get points. So when I spend things, a lot of times, like we have an Amazon card, 5% cash back. If we buy anything on Amazon, 5% goes right back in there. So when you're gaining all these extra incomes, that's going to help out your bottom line. If you on Amazon, some months when we buy different things, we spend a lot of money on different supplies and things. Sometimes we buy parts on there, but we get that extra 5% cash back when we do that. Same thing with different places, though. We've got a couple different credit cards. 2% cash back other places, 3% on gas here. It really all adds up in the end, and then you end up making $200 or $300 by the time you're a large business. Every month, you're making that money for nothing. They're just giving you that money because you're spending money. No better way to put it than, hey, free money it's actually free money, and that's money that actually you do not have to pay taxes on either. It is tax-free. Credit card rewards are, because you had to spend money to earn those rewards. Great deal all the way around, but you've got to build that credit. So start off with one of those secured loans, secured credit cards, small loans, anything like that to get your credit up there. And yes, it's going to be painful at first, especially if you can't just get like a Capital One credit card, which is kind of like your bottom tier most of the time. If you can't get something like that to start out, one of those secured credit cards where you've got to put money down, yes, I know it sounds painful, especially if you're just starting out, but it's going to help you so much if you can't take one of those other routes to build your credit up. You've got to get that credit built, and once you do, you'll be very thankful. Even if you start using credit cards for your personal things, it goes the same way. As long as you can take care of those finances, you can eventually work up to where you're getting rewards cards, and it's not just something to build your credit. It's something that's going to benefit you going forward. You're going to get better rates on car loans, better rates on home loans, better rates on anything that if you ever need to borrow, you're going to get those better rates. And that's how people leverage their credit to make money. It's very easy to do once you kind of wrap your head around what exactly they're doing and how to build that credit once you're there. You've got to pay everything on time. You've got to take care of your responsibilities. If you don't, you're not going to get anywhere as far as credit. One late payment can hurt your credit score a lot. There's a lot of different factors. They've got different types of credit that matters, your length of credit that matters. There's a lot of different things. Payment history is one of the big ones. And then also your credit limit versus how much you're actually spending. They say you should on credit cards stay 30% or below of what your credit limit is. So that's credit utilization should stay 30% or below of what the actual limit is. A lot of different things with credit. Do a little bit of research, but make sure that you continue to build this credit and at least start to build it right now. We went through a lot of these things where we've just started this business. Whether you've got customers that are, in and out constantly, or you're still just trying to build it up, regardless, start building your credit now and start doing it early. Many times, as long as you have a general credit, something 650 or above, you're going to be able to get some sort of credit card to where it's not going to cost you anything anyway. As long as you pay off that balance each month, you do not have to pay any interest at all. Just do not miss it. Pay it early, put it on automatic payment, whatever you'd like to do, set reminders, but do not miss those payments. Otherwise, you will pay for that big. A lot of these credit card fees are, 18 to 25% and up. That's a lot of money. If you miss out on a $100 payment, $25 is a lot of money. If you're leveraging bigger amounts, you got a $1,000 bill, that's a lot of money, $250. And that's just the interest, not to mention the late fee. If you miss the payment, it all adds up quick. And there's a reason credit card companies, give you these good incentives, because they figure people are going to mess up eventually. But stay on top of it and you won't have those issues. Build your credit, leverage that, both personal credit and business credit, and you're going to go far because those things will get you better rates. For instance, when we, buy things, we leverage parts all the time. We go through and we figure out exactly how much we're going to use. You get that initial discount. You get payment terms, so you don't have to pay for it for 6 or 8 months. That's like a short-term loan for free. And they're paying you or giving you a discount for that then. So you get paid for all that before, you get to pay later. It works out wonderful as a small business owner, whether you're a guy out of your garage or you're a huge corporation. You've just got to stay on top of what those trends are and put enough away to be able to pay those liabilities as they come due, especially during your winter months. You're going to get slower if you're just doing small engine repair. Usually winter months are going to be the slowest. Find something else to do during those times. Many people will do snow removal and different things like that. I can't stand the snow and getting out in it. It also depends on where you are, of course. But find something else to kind of fill in those gaps if that's the only thing you're doing and you're not just doing it full time. A lot of growing pains during those winter months, and a lot of people feel that squeeze because they don't have nearly as much income. But you've got to plan ahead for that to make this all work exactly how you want to. Building credit just isn't about borrowing money. It's about building a financial power that you can use to leverage to save money, to make more money, to grow business, and to thrive and and add fuel to that fire to push you further than you've ever thought. And without that, you're gonna grow a lot slower. You're not gonna be able to leverage that as well and to take advantage of that. And that's gonna kind of hold you down, as it did me for quite a few years. It's very, very important, and it's one of the most important things, I think, going forward to a successful business. There is no building your business to something that you would say is extremely successful without having some sort of business credit. You've got to have these things. Plan early, plan smart, and it will grow. Those different types of credits will guide you outwards, and it's gonna build that credit, and that's gonna build your business even faster, like pouring fuel on the fire. With business credit, you can check it a little bit differently. There's like a Dun & Bradstreet, and then I think there's another credit reporting agency out there where you can check these things and figure out exactly what your credit score is. I don't worry about the actual score as much. I've never actually been able to check mine or tried. As long as people are giving you credit, I don't think it really matters. You're getting those favorable terms. If you ever come to a point where you want to buy a building or finance vehicles or finance equipment, that credit is going to get you a lot better deal on that borrowing. So you're going to save sometimes up to hundreds of dollars a month that you aren't having to pay in interest because you've got that good credit. That's going to be great for you. This building, for instance, we're just over 5% interest on this building. If we were to rent this building from somebody today, I bet it'd be $3,000, $3,500. Fortunately, we own it. We've got a billboard that gives us monthly income, low interest rate. We put a decent down payment on it. That all makes a big difference, and it shows creditors that you have financial stability. Whether you actually have money or not, though, doesn't matter. As long as you're paying those things on time, that's showing those creditors the same thing. It's showing them that financial stability, whether you have a large income or not. It doesn't matter. Take care of your business, take care of your credit, both personally and business-wise, and that's going to pay off tenfold as far as growing your business. We will have another episode this week. I think Friday we'll probably release that, get it going. It'll be a double episode week. Dream big, keep thriving, keep growing, keep pushing, keep hustling, and you will make these big moves, and you're going to be very successful in what you do if you follow some of these things. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed the content.